Um, but today, I think what we should do is sort of introduce our own whys, right? So, and what I mean by that is what I mean by that is I'm wearing glasses. I don't know where people are. What I mean is, I personally gravitated towards fighting games. I gravitated towards role playing games, but not any and all of them. Was never into D&D, like at all. But it,
Play D&D.
AD&D, but it checked all the boxes, right? It's like, you like this, yeah, you like this, yeah. Why don't you play that? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, one thing you've always struck me as more specifically a JRPG guy, and I think if I had to guess, is because your artistic background is I feel the JRPGs back in the day just had way cooler character design. Because the old RPGs, it was really like a knight in a suit of armor, you know what I mean? But JRPGs, these flowing sashes that would blow in the wind, even though you're in a deep, dank
Yeah,
dungeon. Like, so I think that when you gravitated to RPGs, a lot of it, and I think fighting it as well, because they have the same thing, was character design.
was character design.
I think those are the two genres that have generally the best character design.
That's right. So
Just
I wanted to ask you, what's your, like, what? Because we bonded pretty quickly over video games
yeah.
when we were younger, and it was because they were the same. Like, we played different games, but like it was just like, oh, we like this. You might like this. Hey, I like this. Let's play Mortal Kombat 2 with 7 discs.
It was 9.
It was nine?
Yeah,
It was
9.
9 discs.
I have 2 on 9 floppy disks in which you had to switch out in the middle of the match. You kids don't know our pain.
Yeah. You're in now. So what kind of gravitated towards those games do you think?
Uh, well, at first I was really into fighting games and RPG, and that was 'cause I lived a block away from an arcade, and like you weren't that far either. But then it was in Doom 2 specifically got me really into what they now call boomer shooter. And then went on to Quake, which I feel I've been watching these videos that are like most influential games, and Doom, rightly so, gets a lot of credit.
Of
No
course.
one ever mentions Quake. 'Cause Quake was the first game because Doom Nukem 3D, all those, you'd use a modem, something he remembers. He used to dial it up and listen to the noise. But Quake was the first one where it had a server list, and you could connect to the server and just connect to random people all around the world. So even though I was actually a bigger fan of the gameplay of Doom Nukem 3D, because there used to
Mhm.
be a Duke versus Quake war in the boomer shooter world,
Of course.
Quake, I think, was super influential because it kind of started the online multiplayer revolution. Like,
And it was really, I had Quake. I don't know if you remember.
yeah,
I had it.
he was never a boomer shooter.
I didn't have a computer. I had web TV. Okay. Um,
You type it in the
so
remote.
yeah,
Yeah.
it had a keyboard,
Yeah.
but Quake, to me, it was really fast. I don't know what, I think it was ran at 60 like frames per second, right? Which people didn't really notice, but when it switches to 3D, like the 3D graphics, even it looked like it ran better,
Yeah.
right? And it was really quick. Like when I would watch people play it, like they were never like slowing down around corners or anything. Like they're like, nope, I'm moving the entire time, like going up and down. Like the levels were cool. So Quake is awesome. Definitely
Quake.
doesn't get enough respect.
No, and it was kind of like the first arena shooter because it was much more vertical, obviously, than Doom was. Doom you couldn't look up, but like so, yeah, Quake was actually much faster, and Quake introduced weird little things where, like online, if you really wanted to go fast, you do this thing called bunny hopping, and so you specifically had to jump exactly when you landed on the ground. So Quake was not only like faster in general, it was the first one where there's like rocket jumping and bunny hopping, and it had all these kind of maybe not, they were actually glitches, but like advanced, what they became advanced mechanics.
Hmm. Now they're just part of the game.
Yeah, now rocket jumping's like normal. Bunny
It's
hopping.
two on the keyboard. Is there a two on the
Yeah.
keyboard? Yeah, so the six to the one.
Well, 2 on my keyboard for Doom Eternal, I think, is maybe the shotgun.
because you got to switch weapons.
So, you got to switch weapons all the time.
Rise of the Triad,
Another absolute classic.
all rocket launchers.
All rocket launchers, every kind you could think of. I miss Rise of the Triad. But actually, when you would play Rise of the Triad online with your friends, the number one kind of kill you wanted was a stomp kill, where if you could get above someone and land on them, it would kill them. And it would give them. They would actually like explode. Like, so it was the ultimate kill.
Right.
If you played Rise of the Triad back in the day with your friends, that your goal wasn't to win. Your goal was to stomp on their head
Online.
online. But then again, Rise of the Triad was one of those ones where you had to directly call a modem. It wasn't like Quake where you had to serverless.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing about Quake that really got me into it that I was addicted to for a short amount of time was Team Fortress 1. So all of these like Overwatch and those style games,
Like the team-based
the
ones,
team-based ones, that DNA goes back to a Quake mod called Team Fortress. Like everyone obviously knows Team Fortress 2.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, it was Doom definitely started it, and then the online of Quake definitely like sealed my boomer shooter love. And then you weren't around because again, you was never big into boomer shooters. Me and Greg, our friend, got into Half-Life, but specifically this online mod called Action Half-Life that you could dive and it turned into this John Woo shooter, and so
I remember watching you guys play it,
yeah,
and it was Greg. Was it Greg? Who was the flying squirrel?
I was playing
You were the
Squirrel of
flying
Doom.
squirrel. Okay. The, double pistols.
Double pistols. That flying Squirrel of Doom name was earned from the greatest play in the history of all the video games. They had a map, sorry to interrupt, called The Block, I believe it was. And on the edge of the building, you could jump off across like this big gap to the other building.
Mm,
And I was being chased down by a ruthless never dweller. And I didn't jump, I dove. John Woo dove off the building, turned around in midair, killed him in the air, landed on my back, and took fall damage, but somehow lived. And one of the chatters said, "Oh my God, you were a flying squirrel of doom." Earned the nickname.
earned. And you were gifted that name.
And then I started to actually draw the flying. Do you remember when I drew with the flying squirrel of doom with the van? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the flying squirrel of doom. I was never really good at. I didn't have a computer, so I couldn't play a lot of. I would the only time I ever to play like Half-Life was like at your house for like 10 minutes where we had to go somewhere, and then that's all I got. So missed out on
Yep, but that's my
a lot of first person shooters, a lot of just mods in general because I didn't understand like mods until like what till I got my own
like
stuff.
Skyrim. Like,
Yeah.
I think I would say, well, I guess we probably still do, but Skyrim. When I played it for a little bit, and I just went around, and I do this in every Elder Scrolls game. I just broke in people's house and stole everything. So I had amassed like 10,000 gold or something without ever doing a mission, and then I quit playing.
Mhm.
But I go back now, that game, they have modded it into something completely like it's. I honestly I want to get it again just to play the mods.
Yeah, I have 3 versions of Skyrim currently at the moment. I got about 15 minutes into the game and I was like, I don't like this.
How much of them are hentai?
I mean,
Hates you life.
it's what is it? I mean, I don't want to put a number to it, but
Okay, no, but we were talking about the boomer shooters. We got to get back to you. Well, actually, us, because we were big arcade junkies back in the day, even though we'd be like borrowing $2 from our parents. So when we went to the arcade to get our quarters, it was like we played like one game an hour.
yeah,
But I'd say our big one, it started out as Street Fighter 2.
yeah. Street Fighter 2. I mean, everyone
Yeah,
kind of knew that game.
yeah.
You
Street
know,
Fighter 2 like brought crowds back to the.
there was champions in the mall. Do you remember?
Oh, champ. Yep.
That was the first time I saw Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, like ever. And I didn't understand what was happening because I had Street Fighter 2 at home. Um, and I only had 8 characters. And then I went up to the machine, and there's 16, and people I don't know, and I was like, "What has this machine have so many characters? What is going on?" Because we couldn't afford magazines,
Yeah.
like
I just read them in the store and just said, "Hey, mom, you shop. I'm
yeah,
going through my EGM."
we'll be okay. And then I had to rent games.
Yeah.
So, like, if let's say had it and I could see it, I didn't know it existed. And so that's a thing these kids don't have to worry about. But Street Fighter 2, fantastic.
I'm trying
Um,
to. I can't remember. Did you miss out when Paradise for just? I swear, like 1 or 2 weeks, they had Rainbow Edition, or as we called it back then, the hacked Chinese
Missed it.
Street Fighter.
Yeah, you told me
Oh,
all about
it
it,
was
and I went
fun.
there to play it, and it wasn't where you said it was, and I was just like, it's gone.
Well, yeah,
It's
they
just
didn't
gone.
keep it very long at all. I don't know if what it was, but
No, missed it.
it was crazy. You could even like press the start button and it would just change your character mid match and like a whole bunch of weird stuff.
If
But
you fight Cade, they
well,
have it.
this is the weird thing. The Rainbow Edition they have on Fightcade is not the one that they had at Paradise. So I
Mm.
swear there's multiple editions of it.
There probably is, because I mean, it was a hacked. I think it was. I don't want to say.
I think it was a Taiwanese company that did
Yeah,
it
they were just
actually.
like, look what we did. We just hacked a game, give us some money, and they did it.
Speaking of Street Fighter. So if a game wasn't popular at Paradise, they didn't actually like buy it. They rented out the machine from this place, Master Vending. So if it wasn't popular, they'd send it back and get another one. So you'd think a game like Street Fighter the movie would have a very short life, like just a couple weekends at Paradise Arcade. This man single-handedly kept it there for like a couple years, I swear to God. But the thing is, and this is why I will always have problems with this man, he played Street Fighter the movie different. He makes it look like a good game. Like it was the first time I saw like do like combo video style juggles and everything, and it would convince me that it was a good game, and I would try it again just to realize, no, it wasn't. I don't know what was wrong with this man. But while everyone else, we were on like Tekken 3 and yada, 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 he'd be over in the corner with the Street Fighter the movie. He single handedly kept that game at Paradise Arcade for, I'm talking, at least a year. There's no one else played it but him.
Their
No
sales numbers
one.
is just my picture.
Yeah, yeah.
It
It
looked
was.
like this guy, just me eating a burger, going, huh? What?
Okay, and then not to get off topic, but other rare games that I didn't think were good, but he convinced me and made them look good. There's this game Versus that for PlayStation 1, I think it
Hmm.
was.
Yeah.
He made it look like it was the craziest fighting game ever. And then I'd play it and I'd be like, you can't block. Like if I swear to God, there's no blocking.
Okay. Do you even really need a block? I mean, real. There's not a guard button per se. It's like a evade kind of button, right? But the annoying thing about it was it changed depending on how good you were doing in the fight. So they have a bar right below your character. It's a vertical bar that goes up. And the more it goes up, the more cool things you can do. But blocking isn't one of them. So people don't want to play that game at all because you can't do anything. You had to evade. And I think that threw people off immediately. All of the key art that I used to read in magazines about that game never showed the game. They just showed like the character artwork and like all this stuff. They
I
did
just
not show
remember
pictures
they
of the
showed the
game.
one girl that had the thong showing,
Yeah,
and there's a controversy because it was modeled after like the CEO's daughter or something, and then everyone was like, "Yeah, that's a bit weird." Like, I
I
swear
mean,
I heard
yeah,
that. Man, I don't. Well, I guess you can.
I enjoyed that game. I will talk about it. Will people say like it's not a good fighting game? I agree with certain points, but I liked it.
Yeah,
I
he
enjoyed it.
played. I think you played it more than anyone else in the world. I think you just
Also,
explained
my
it more in
sales,
depth.
yeah,
Yeah,
just looked like sales records. Who bought it? 3 people, and it's all me.
yeah.
I bought 3 times. I did it. So versus, yeah, like, but that's what. Here's what I learned. Okay, I learned this from a movie producer. Was it a movie producer? No, it was a TV show producer. Okay, it had to do about ad libbing in TV shows or going off script and everything. if you just get people a box and say, stay in that box, you can do whatever you want as long as it's in that box. Those things I tend to gravitate towards. That is why kind of fighting games kind of like there's no one way to play it. There's like an optimal way, sure, like to play like certain characters in fighting games. You kind of just do what you want, you know? Skateboarding, love skateboarding, like skateboarding games, right? What do you do? You just smash some buttons, do some cool stuff. There's no like wrong way to play the game. Wrestling. Wrestling was like, what are the rules? You stay in here, there's a 10 count if you leave, you count to three or you make him tap. Anything else, fair game. And it's like wheels turn, it's good to go. Right. So I think that's for me, that's why I like those types of games because the more customization you could do, even just on like a mental note of like how to play, that's what draws me to it. And because there's no like optimal kind of way to like play it. Like if I want to be Zangief and never throw anybody and just go around layering people, drop kicking them, jabbing them to death with my little stab jabs, I can do that.
Okay. Well, so I think that they call that you would like emergent gameplay.
Mm.
Yes. And I just to say with the stab jabs, Super Street Fighter 2, Zangief would crouch and do stab jabs in the corner. There was no on combos. They just every part of the combo did full health. So I swear to God, I have seen this man do like 100% stab jab combos in the corner when it's just this. So
If
uh,
if I am only doing one move and my opponent keeps getting hit with that one move, I'm not being cheap. They need to learn. And
wasn't
if
the rules of the arcade. That
that is
wasn't.
not the rules of the arcade, you kick the
You
machine.
don't throw, you don't cheese with the same move.
Mhm.
God, God.
Those are the, you're right. I forgot about arcade moves.
Yes. Do you remember how pissed people get at throws?
No.
Oh, yeah. No,
I
no.
mean, was I the cause of most of those
Yeah,
anger things?
yeah. I was gonna
Yeah.
say because you were a culprit. So maybe you don't remember because you
Like,
didn't
oh, I don't know.
abide by the arcade rules. There was even. Do you remember my arch nemesis in Mortal Kombat 2, Justin, the wannabe blood?
Yeah.
There was a time where I had beat him once, and it was by okay. So don't judge me, but I threw him a lot in the match, and he actually pushed me out of the way. And if you held in Mortal Kombat 2, at the start menu, like when there's verses, if you held, I think it was down and low punch on both joysticks, it would actually disable
Disabled. Yeah.
throws. And so, and he disabled throws on me, and then he beat me, and like that was my big arcade bully story. So then now you know it, and that's
Mm.
why I'm traumatized, and I have a tortured basement. No, I'm just kidding. No, it did traumatize me though. I'm still so mad. I've never gotten over that. I got punked so hard. There's nothing I can do. I was like 13 at the time, and he was 15, and so
Yeah.
but,
That happened. I saw that happen in Mortal Kombat more than Street Fighter, but maybe
yeah,
it was just like the type of players that were playing it.
yeah.
But yeah, I saw that happen a lot.
I'd actually Mortal Kombat 2 was the biggest rage game at the arcade.
Hmm.
That's where I saw the most. And actually, I can't remember ever actually seeing like an actual fist fight over a game, but a million yelling matchings and they would just punch the screen so hard. I don't know how that Mortal Kombat 2 screen never broke.
Things were just built different
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah. That was made out of like the Nokia material, I guess.
Yes.
And
They should just make every planes, buildings, anything out of whatever plastic Nokia found
Mhm.
from whatever planet that thing came from.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best.
Little known fact, if you got adamantium and you hit a Nokia phone with it, like an adamantium sword, the sword would break.
I thought you were going to say like, the universe just restarts.
Yeah.
Back to the beginning.
It's an immovable object for
It's like, whoops. Well, we just got to restart the whole timeline. So that is, that's the why. We just kind of gravitate towards things like that, right? And it's fun. Things were fun back then. What we have,
So
continue.
you know what? I actually think that is something that is missing from fighting games that was funner back in our day. Is now you get a fighting game, play it for a second, you can go online, you find a guide.
Mhm.
There was much more emergent gameplay in fighting games during the arcade days, and like even though we had game facts and stuff, it just wasn't the same. And that's one thing I think that technology has kind of ruined about fighting games is that everyone kind of gravitates towards like the optimal style. Where back in the day, like you would have a Zangief that didn't use throws and
Mhm.
like weird stuff. So I think a little bit of emergent gameplay went out with technology and fighting games.
I agree. Um, I think it's the amount of knowledge that's out there, right? You would have to figure out either by yourself or have somebody who knew what you were talking about to figure that stuff out. Like Killer Instinct, for example. Um, Combo breakers. Not only could you hear it from anywhere if someone did a combo breaker,
It was
but
10 times louder than the rest of the game. It was
you know what?
crazy.
They did that on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever they shipped out the games, they put the volume up higher, and then on the instructions told the arcade people to like, oh, make sure you turn the volume up because it's kind of no, they knew it was going to be louder than everything else in the arcade on purpose.
Yeah. It was free advertising because, man, you would be playing something else and you would just hear combo breaker. And it was like,
And you were just like,
what is he
it's like
playing?
I'm playing Busta Move. What's that up? They broke a combo. Like
Oh, yeah.
the
That's the move lasted a long time.
they just there's a new one coming out
Oh,
on the Switch.
oh my
So
goodness.
I think I was the only one on the like the Nintendo presentation. I was like, I know Busta Move. Brendan was like, okay, like, or yeah, Busta Move. I'm like, but I'm okay. I'm just gonna pretend to hate it like everyone else and then secretly buy like 6 copies. But Killer Instinct, when you did a combo breaker, your life bar, like at the very end, would be flashing. I didn't never knew why, right? Until I went to your house one day and went on GameFAQs, a website I've never heard of before, and read like there's this whole thing that happens after you do a combo breaker. Shadow moves, like your moves get powered up and like all this other stuff. And I was just like, I don't know that. So if I never did that, I don't think I would have figured that out on my own. So now I think there's so many people that are figuring it out. It gets figured out a lot quicker. And then people go, well, I'll just try this, you know? But then you have, like what you were saying, too many people trying to play optimally and not enough people just messing around. Messing around is the fun part
It
for
is.
me.
Well, and I think one thing is a lot of people when it comes to fighting games, they look at like the tier lists and everything and like the optimal play, but that's for like the 0.05% of players. If you like me, I was like gold ranked in Street Fighter. The tier list would be completely differently because it's basically like who's the cheapest stuff is the easiest to do
Yeah.
because you're not pulling out, you know what I mean? A lot of these oh, you know, frame perfect, like, stuff.
Mhm.
So I think that's another thing is that not only do people figure it out, is that people follow that before they're actually ready to execute it.
Like they're taking it like the advice that like a top player has, and they're just
Yes.
like, no, that's gospel now. Like
Mhm.
best character in the whole, and like, well, then everyone would pick that character if that were accurate.
But and the ball is the best character, but only at that tournament player level. Like, for example, when I would stream, I used to get together a whole bunch of people. We'd play Ultimate Marvel 3. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I can talk. And if you look at the tournament level, it's absolutely broken games, and there's characters that just are absolutely unusable, and some that are clearly better at the scrub level, it's one of the most balanced games of all time. Like Shinko is kind of a little bit weaker. Doom missiles are annoying. Like you get a couple of complaints, but you can really take just anyone and win. Like I never see Ghost Rider in also Marvel vs. Capcom 3 tournaments.
Mm-mm.
He's totally viable at the scrub level. So I think that's one thing about the spread of information is that in a weird way, it's only accurate to a certain group of people and it's misinformation to a lot of people because like you just can't play like that. Like you
Why can't I just Smash one button over and over. Why not?
Oh, I'm sorry, that brings up another thing. Do you know what? Another thing I did, I was in AEW and I actually bring my laptop and try to get people to play fighting games with me as like a little AEW ritual.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed is Mortal Kombat 11 is apparently just the most casual friendly, like everyone would play. They loved Mortal Kombat 11.
Everyone loved Mortal Kombat Left.
Everyone. And then I get them to play Marvel 3. But the thing is, they not for as long, like they just play Mortal Kombat 11 endlessly, but like a Marvel 3 is like, oh, it's Marvel, I want to play that. They hate the Magic series, which is like, light to medium to
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, I think chain combos are like the most beginner friendly form of combos there are.
Mhm.
But when you actually get like total, like even below me level casual fighting game fans to do it, for some reason they don't like chain combos. And that always confused me because it's my face. It's just like, guys, it's dun dun dun, and like you feel great about it. Like, oh, look, I'm gonna.
Mhm. Yeah. Like that's Marvel. Like MVC3,
Yeah.
light, medium, do your combo. Button that knocks them up in the air, because they have a button for that now. Up in the air, you do more stuff, you knock him back down, call an assist or something, and
Well, and
that's
this
what they
combo
teach you.
system's universal. Where
Yeah.
like in Mortal Kombat, you used to remember specific target combos for your character and everything. But so I never understood that. I was like, I think the chain system is the best, or the Magic series is the best combo system there is. But I noticed casuals don't actually like for some reason just bump bump bump. Like they don't like it.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe because we
In this
know that.
small room. Yeah.
We know that, and we're like,
Yeah, because Darkstalkers.
Darkstalkers, like, just do that. And they're like, no, I'm gonna figure it out myself. And I'm like, okay, but
I think that's why also a lot of the cat we would play Tekken 7 all the time in AEW. And I think a lot of the reason is because I didn't actually realize that you can actually, if you don't even know like all the proper combos, you can actually build your own juggles very nicely in
mhm,
Tekken. So like someone like they get an uppercut and they just do like 1, 2, 4, and like obviously not get, but like it would make him just feel great. So I
it's like
think
I did in their combo. Like,
Tekken,
yeah,
despite being actually incredibly complicated at the higher levels, I think it attracts a lot of casuals because it actually is much more freeform than I ever realized.
7, yes. 8, even more so. Like, it's crazy how creative you can get, except the issue people have with 8, in which I don't have that because I'm not a top tier player, is at the higher level, it kind of breaks down a little bit, especially with like defensive options. The game is all offense, right?
Yeah, I was your man. I'm sad to see it go, but I was watching the triple KO, and I think that was their thing is that people having problems with how aggressive the heat system makes everything,
Yeah.
and then everything revolves around the heat system.
Yeah. In which that was, I think, going back to probably like Tekken 4, my favorite one.
Underrated, except for the Jin Kazama laser scraper.
We don't talk about that.
No, we knew this guy Francis. I'm sorry to keep going all these anecdotes, but he's a horrible person. Okay, I love you, Francis, but he gotta hate you. Is he when he could consistently do that laser scraper, it wrecked the game because
Yeah.
I don't know why. I couldn't respond to it in time. I didn't know if I was supposed to sidestep. I couldn't. So the laser scraper wrecked it.
You just do it back to it.
But like, and a lot of people seem to remember Tekken 4 as the one where Steve was overpowered, in which I think he was a little bit, but it really was the Jin Kazama laser scraper. And Jazz Hands Jin, he had that little,
Yeah, the parry.
yeah,
It just,
because everyone would jab. Well, I guess they still do, but even more so in Tekken 4, it felt like the jab was just like the main thing everyone did.
yeah.
So you just had Jazz Hands Jin, like, oh, okay.
Ugh, ugh. He was the best character in the game.
For sure, for sure.
He was the only character that had like no weakness. He could do everything. And then other characters were like, well, like Craig was like, oh, he's strong, but he's slow. And Jin just has like, oh, well, I can do anything I want at any given time. And he was probably like the best developed character, probably because they had to change his whole like fighting style. Accidentally made him the best character in the entire game.
I think they might have, maybe not quite on purpose, but because they were kind of switching over to a main character, I
Hmm.
think they wanted to make him as cool as possible and just overtuned it.
Yeah.
Just like what is happening with Ninja Gaiden 4 right now, is they're switching. He's still in the game. They're switching from Ryu to someone from the Raven clan. It's like I'm a big Ninja Gaiden guy. I can't even remember his name off the top of my head. And
Joe.
no, it's not Joe. And little known fact, Ryu's dad didn't used to be Joe Hayabusa. I swear to God in my life, I'm going to go back and play it. I'm emulating this. It used to be Ken Hayabusa. I swear to God, his name used to be Ken Hayabusa. But anyway, I think when, and a lot of people are rejecting that. They're like, no, we want Ryu, who's this new guy. Da, 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 da. So I think when a franchise is kind of switching up its signature or like flagship character,
Hmm.
I think they almost have to go a little bit more like they have to try to make him cooler than everyone
It has
else.
to be cool.
Or you get like the Alex in Street Fighter 3, who everyone just rejected him. Like they didn't make him cool enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
He's the new main character, and they're like, and
yeah, no, and one of the leads played like, except for maybe like Q and 13, I think his name was.
sure. I was not and this is going to annoy all millions of people who like Street Fighter 3. Third Strike, I'm sorry. I enjoyed New Generation a lot. Whatever second impact or second uh, giant attack, or I don't
But
know what the,
Second Impact was only in the arcade for like not even a month. Like
yeah,
it really got rotated out
yeah.
fast.
And then Third Strike came along, and it's not that the gameplay was bad. A couple of the stages got kind of changed. I like transitioning stages. So like I think it was Elena's stage where she like fought like on a waterfall
And then it
and it
broke.
fell down.
Yeah.
Like that just disappeared. I was like, it seemed like they removed some stuff. Sean got nerfed to Oblivion.
We didn't know this because that was another one when I was streaming. That was one of the games on rotation was Street Fighter 3, and
Mhm.
there was so many Sean fans. He was the most popular character out of like my little group. There's only like 7 of us or something, but he's the most popular character. And so we went and finally did look up a tier list, and he's like right at the bottom. Like, oh, he's so bad. Da, 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 da. And again, we're not high level players, so none of us knew. But do you know why they did that?
I don't want to blame everything on 9/11, but uh, but no, why?
No, I looked it up and man, this is so like 90s arcade style. Because he was technically the student of Kin,
Mhm.
they didn't want him to be as powerful as the other Shotos, so they nerfed him for story reasons. I swear to God on my life, like I can't remember where I read it from, but it sounded like again, that might have been even a triple K lore, but it sounded like from like real fighting game people. It sounded like they knew what they were talking about, and that was the actual reason. He was nerfed into the ground. Well, I don't know into the ground, but he was made weaker than Ryu and Ken for storyline reasons because he was the pupil, and they didn't want him to be as good as the masters.
I see their point. I
If
don't
the
agree
game
with it.
wasn't a competitive game,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
like story reasons, sure.
you
You
know what I
know,
mean? That'd be like, well, story reasons, we got to keep M Bison like super overpowered or something.
yeah,
You know, and like if it's a competitive game, gotta.
you got it. I just, yeah, Third Strike was like, all right, but like, I like the game.
Can I be honest? Street Fighter 3 for me, they all blend together. Like the only thing I remembered about New Generation was the second, or no, I'm sorry, was it Second Impact? Yeah, no, Second Impact was it was the one game I'd seen other people do this, but I never would, where you would put in the quarter slots into the second player just so you could practice something against something that didn't move. And there was the one game I did that with because Ibuki, one of my favorites. I have a feeling she's not coming back to 6. But anyway, Ibuki had an infinite, but you had to like do a close roundhouse and then you step just barely forward and do it again. And if you could get the rhythm down, it was an infinite. And that's my big the whole all Street Fighter 3, all of Street Fighter 3 blurred together, except for Second Impact, because that was the one game I actually had spent money to get my own personal practice mode.
Perfect. I mean, that's why we play games.
But going on about Street Fighter 3, since we were big arcaders, uh, I've never seen a game that was as popular as Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2, and all that fall off the card as Street Fighter 3. It
Yeah.
literally nobody played that except for us. It was like almost Street Fighter the movie level
Yeah.
of dead. And I loved it right from the beginning. But as weird as it sounds, it wasn't even any of the gameplay improvements or anything. I fell in love with the animations of the game.
Yes.
I've always been big into always improve the animations and all the model, like not graphics, but the actual like flow
That
of how
game
the movie.
and Darkstalkers were
Yes.
like here.
Yeah.
Still, I'm gonna go. I'm just kind of looking at the camera. It's up there. You can't even see where I. It is. It's up there.
He's
And
burning his hand from being too close to the sun. That's how high it is.
burnt. My gosh. Just very visually
Yeah.
fantastic to look at. The only thing I think that turned people off on it initially was it was just Ken and Ryu. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
As like characters. And I got it because like, okay, Street Fighter 1, just Ryu and Ken, technically, right? And then all the computer characters, Street Fighter 2, Ryu and Ken, whole new set of characters. I don't think besides Sagat there was anybody that was not from the first one. Like there's
Yeah.
a whole brand new roster. And then, you add in all the bosses, secret characters. I think there was 16 plus Akuma, 17 characters total. And then Third Strike, Street Fighter 3 comes out and it's Ken and Ryu and some new guy, you know?
And well, do you kind of know the story about why there's so many new guys and why they had such different character designs?
Nine, no.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
we're getting
Oh,
invaded. We're getting invaded. Oh, you want to talk about it? You're obviously an Ibuki player. Obviously an Ibuki.
oh, near.
No, Street Fighter 3 was originally, and why the characters looked like kind of weird and so different. No, I
Hmm.
like that. Love people's in it. It was originally going to be some kind of like a different fighting game completely, and it was going to be like a fantasy based fighting game. And then
Interesting.
sometime in the development of that game, they switched it over to being a Street Fighter game. So if you ever wonder like why they had just such drastically different feel to the characters and
Hmm.
everything, that's why they're originally going to be from a completely different fighting game.
Weird. Kitten.
Hey,
Hey, leave Ronald McDonald alone. Hey,
hey. Oh,
come
come
on.
here. Oh, Vin. Oh, yeah.
He's the funniest cat in the whole wide world. Um, she doesn't turn around to look at things behind her. She just does this until like she falls over, and she's just like, "Well, I put your food over there. Your food's on that table."
No, I don't want food. I want. Oh, she got a stubby tail.
Yeah, that's their owner. That's why they got rid of her because of her tail, and they were like, "She's defective," and I was like,
Wow.
we were like,
No.
"I'll take the cat, thank you." And so we took the cat out because of a tail. I was like, you guys are done. It also doesn't matter. It's how we train you to kill.
You know what I actually was listening to on my way over here was a Guile Win quote video, which since you're Mr. Fighting, I think you should watch. I recently found him. He does a lot of good fighting game videos, but he did one on a game that I randomly found on Steam and I really liked called Yatagarasu. I don't know if you ever heard of it,
Yes.
but it's a Street Fighter 3 kind of clone or whatever. But there was never anyone on, and so I only played a single player. But I was like, man, this game's awesome. What happened? They did a GoFundMe style thing, kicks and go one of those,
Hmm.
and they're supposed to add rollback net code. And I don't know if they took the money and ran or what, but it never ended up happening.
Hmm.
So I'm always disappointed in that because that game is actually seems like it could be one of my favorite fighting games. I really enjoyed the single player, but
Yeah. Oh, yes, I do know about that game. Don't I? She doesn't know. She doesn't play them. She plays card games.
Hearthstone player, are you?
I don't play standard. I play battleground. It's like a mode in the game, and that's all.
I don't know anything about it. I saw my kid play it some, and like he got like pretty high level, but yeah,
That's for another episode.
yeah.
Because I will talk about how great that game is.
Oh,
forever,
Hearthstone. Okay, we'll write it
forever.
down. We'll write it down.
You don't need to write it down. Just remember it. Okay.
Okay, now I want to get off fighting games
All right.
onto a different question that I had recently been pondering after watching some stings on Final Fantasy 16. What makes an RPG a JRPG? And in Final Fantasy, at least 16 and maybe even 15, I haven't played either, but I'm getting back into my Final Fantasy. But can they still be considered JRPGs?
Long answer, sure. Short answer, no.
Well, because my thing is now I'm going back in the day. I already mentioned this earlier, but like Secret of Mana, it has a lot of like the kind of tropes of a JRPG, like story wise, maybe even like a visual style. But I don't consider it a JRPG. I would put it in the action RPG category. So,
Fair, because it kind of is.
but what actually makes a JRPG? Because for a while I'd say turn based, but then I'm thinking like I consider the Tales series turn based or a JRPG, but they're not turn based.
It's an excellent question. Um, Also, did you know, and I don't remember who, but it's somebody, it's a Japanese developer, hates that term so much.
I did actually read something about that.
Hates it. And I understood his point. He said that the word, like when people call a game a JRPG, he said it separates it from like an RPG. So like now you're arbitrarily changing what an RPG is by just calling it a JRPG.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with his, like I get where he's coming from. It seems like it's not an RPG, but I think for us as players, when there was a there's a difference, right? You had the RPGs in America and Europe,
That
which
is
were
now
more
called
like
CRPGs.
CRPGs or just Western RPGs, like Fallout, Fallout's an RPG, right? But it's a different kind, right? And then what was coming out of Japan was like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, and they had like very similar things to it. So when people were making RPGs, instead of copying the West, they copied Japan. And so those are the things that stuck in those RPGs. And I think that's where the collective term JRPG came from, was just like that type of game, not that
Yeah,
type of
it
game,
was more of a
you know?
subgenre than
Yeah.
a separate thing.
And so I get where he's coming from, where he just he feels like it's a little insulting that you're trying to arbitrarily change it. But I'm like, well, we're trying to just let you know that like we kind of prefer it. The people who say JRPGs, you have those like, okay, you level up, it's turn based, dungeons, you're rewarded from dungeons not with like a cool item, but story.
Yeah,
You beat to get more story. You go to a dungeon, more story. You're not like getting like a super strong axe or an item or something. It's like you're getting rewarded with lore. You know,
yeah.
and so those like kind of blueprints stayed, especially in like Final Fantasy games, like Dragon Quest games, like those kind of things stayed, and then the more RPGs that came out would take that and then change just a tiny bit or something else. And so it added to it. And I think that's where me personally, and a lot of other people I think as well, when we say JRPG, that's what we mean. You
Yeah.
mean like that type of RPG
I
as
think
like a genre, like you were saying.
I think in JRPG might actually it might be a little outdated now. I still call them JRPGs or whatever because it still does have its own personal tropes and everything. But back in the day, I think the reason the distinction big time happened is because, like you said, like if you go back and you look at the old Ultima, Might and Magic, Wizardry,
Mhm.
they were RPGs, but they were just way different than what was coming out of Japan. Like they were nothing like Final Fantasy. And exactly that, like they were much less stored. Like you had an overarching plot, but like Might and Magic, you had like lizard guy in an armor, and like when you beat a dungeon, you didn't really get that much. It wasn't this big lore dump. It was really, oh, you got a
You cleared
better
the dungeon.
weapon, and now you can go fight higher level enemy. Like
Hmm.
so, I think JRPG happened because there used to be just this giant. They just weren't. I mean, they were both RPGs, They were vastly different Western and Japanese RPGs.
I think so. I think like if you took oh my gosh, what is that?
Um,
So, mushroom.
oh, wow.
Mushroom?
I actually wanted it, and like it wasn't on the covers because there's so much of them.
No way.
But like I thought that this was with the end, but it actually
won!
and then I bought it.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
I'm
Nice.
very happy for you.
And so is the kitten.
And the kitten is very happy. Where are you going, kitten?
It's so like it's squishy.
And oh, you love squishy.
And then it pops back in normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He loves them.
wow.
All right, Luna, go lay down.
It's like it's fixed joints. That's the other ones. That's like big balls.
They do, but yeah, the ones you kind of pull, like they're squishy that way, right? Is that yeah, you pull them too much, they break, and those aren't fun, right?
Like Stretch Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
The ball squishies.
Yeah.
And no, the only reason that I thought because I thought that I was because it's not accidentally back in the one, and then actually I switched to one on the other.
Yeah. I remember that squeezy one that broke. Yeah, that was weird. We had like a stress ball one,
Yeah.
and we squeezed it too much, and then it popped.
I didn't know you could break a stress
And
ball.
the
Yeah, how stressed were you?
it was like apparently very, and the inside was like it was glue, like it was like touched it and it felt like glue, right? But it didn't drip. It was like a solid liquid. I don't know what it was, but we were trying to like if you pulled it, it would come apart, and then it was just like its own like individual thing, and like you couldn't squish it back together. It's like it felt like if toothpaste could be more. Like if
More
it was like
toothpaste
if it like you take toothpaste and like the monster from the thing, and then you just merge them together where like emulated whatever it was supposed to be. Buddy, I know your food's on the other table. I'm sorry.
But yes, so Backfoot. So I now again I haven't played it. I'm getting like back into RPGs and everything. I'm getting off like pure man, not like Severed Steel and more like there's so many different kinds of FPS games I've been addicted to. But I'm getting back into the Final Fantasy series because I do love it. And Final Doom 2 is probably my favorite. Final Fantasy 6 is right up there. But when I look at Final Fantasy 16 specifically, I just don't think you can give it that title. I believe it's more of an action RPG now. And do you think that is a good path for the series? It definitely seems like you got a lot of blowback because you actually said it the best way is that it's a good game, but a bad Final Fantasy. And that seems to be the general consensus is that it's not a bad game, but it is not what the Final Fantasy fan base wants.
It's kind of confusing, right? Because I think for a lot of people, and especially people that I was in like high school with, right? Final Fantasy 7 came out, and our school was very jocks, brat.
Yeah.
You know, all the kids that listen to Rammstein were over here, and they're like us, right? Final Fantasy 7 came out, and then the guys on the basketball team were coming over, like, "Oh, I'm stuck on this.
Yeah,
Like, how do I do that?" The guys that were like the wannabe gangster guys would come over, and they'd be like, "Yo, I'm stuck
What's
at the
up,
train-
dog? I
yeah.
need to have my golden chocobo.
Like, where do I go in the train graveyard?" I'm like, "I will tell you how," you know. And it was kind of like, oh, now they're getting into RPGs. Like, that's kind of cool, you
And
know.
no one realizes how influential Final Fantasy 7 was for that because back in the day, a gamer, it wasn't necessarily someone that just played games because they were more hardcore because you actually did have a lot of people that played games, but it was like Madden, NCAA basketball,
Like, you were playing sports games.
and that's all they played. Final Fantasy 7 came out And it even got those guys into like RPGs and everything. Like,
Mhm.
so like you said, like the jocks, the stoner, like every different in group, it made JRPGs go or RPGs go in like mainstream for a while. Like,
It did. I kind of look at it like you're holding a flashlight, right? And you're in a dark room and you're like only doing this. And then like, oh, I can make it brighter. And they're like, whoop, and the light gets brighter. And there's like, oh, there's other stuff I like over
yeah,
here and this stuff, maybe that stuff. But like it helps.
yeah.
Like
I feel like
now it's not a weird thing I can make fun of the kids with. I still got made fun of, but it was like now it's not a nerdy only thing.
yeah,
You know?
RPGs did actually have a stigma to them back in the day. It was, someone came in like, and you're like,
You're like
"Oh, what
nerds,
the
and they're
hell
like,
are
I
you
need
playing? Like,
I
let's
need
play
help.
Madden, bro." Like,
And it happened with Call of Duty as well. I thought that was very funny. The Call of Duty guy like making fun of people who play video games, and I'm like, you have a headset. You're
you have a
you're
headset. You spend your entire day shouting out racist epitaphs to people online.
like I don't even have a headset. Like you have more accessories
yeah.
for your Xbox than I do. Like it's crazy. I mean, if you don't count musical classic instruments,
Yeah. Oh man, I had every rock band for yeah.
they're all in Brennan's closet, and we still have it. I
Yeah.
have not gotten rid of them. I'm not getting rid of them.
We can't. Oh, the memories.
Um,
I cracked the top 500 in plastic drummers in Rock Band 2 in the world. Okay, I was.
that's very true. You know what's funny?
uh,
Randomly, just remind me of this. Remember that guy who was always like the number one drummer?
yeah.
I found him on YouTube, and then it didn't click that that was the same guy because he went by Schizo, like on the Xbox, and his YouTube channel was called like Azurite Reactions. And I was like, and I saw him playing like, Rock Band one day, and I'm like, looked at his username, and I'm like, that's the guy.
Oh
I was
yeah.
like,
Okay.
you're the guy, and like he's got like he had the foot camera, like showing how he would
Yeah.
feel and
Yeah.
everything.
I watched a ton of his videos.
And I was just like, that's the guy. He's the guy with the things and he drums. I was like, we did it. Came full circle. I know who that guy is. But yes. So to answer your question about Final Fantasy, I think to answer that question, we have to have a 6-hour retrospective on, we don't have to, but if you
I've
take,
watched pretty long retrospective. So.
you kind of have to, you start with 10, right? And the reason you start with 10, that was the last turn-based Final Fantasy game. And they,
Well, 12 kind of was.
so 12, yes.
It was like, it was turn based, but you could move.
You could move. And what they did is in the very, very early parts of the game, you had like your ATB bar, right?
Yeah.
And when it filled up, you got to do an action. And so then they introduced a little bit later these things called gambits. And the gambits you could set up where you're like, okay, well, once my AT bar does this, and you meet like these if then conditions, like, hey, if I see an enemy and I'm in range, attack it. If he's weak against fire, use ice, Then you have these things. And then as you're playing, the better you did with the gambits, the less you actually did in battle. And some people hated that, right? But I enjoyed the fact that if your gambits were set up correctly, you actually got better at the game that Final Fantasy 12 is. And I understand why people did not like that. Because then they're like, why am I playing the game? Just run around killing everything. I'm like, but you have to program your guys to do that. So you're playing the game correctly in Final Fantasy 12 terms. You're doing a good job because you don't need to revive everybody because your gambit's messed up and now everybody's dead. So you're doing a good job, but I see the criticisms for it, and I think you could have changed it a little bit. But yes, that was not, it was kind of turn-based, but they frowned on the turn-based aspect of it. Like you could always just hit X, bring up a menu, and it'll override whatever the automatic actions could be. Like if you accidentally, I once accidentally cast oil on all my characters, and if characters had oil on them, if you cast fire, they take like 8 times damage. And I fought a bomb, and my gamuts were messed up. I was casting oil instead of removing oil, and like because you use a handkerchief to remove oil, and I did not do that, and I was just getting destroyed, and I was just like seeing like your whole battle play out like this,
What just
and
happened?
then fail over and over. You're just like, what am I doing wrong? It's the game that's wrong. It's not. And it was like, oh, I'm an idiot. That's how I solved that.
That must be why it's so divisive. Because if you look at like top Final Fantasy of all time lists, 12 either is very low or very high, and it must be how much you like the battles. And
The game is great. I enjoyed most of that game. I did not enjoy the fact that the ultimate weapons in the game were luck-based treasure chests, and you had one chance per game to find them. So,
oh no,
in the original, they changed it a little bit in like they made an update to it. But in the original game, there was like a spear, because there was one ultimate weapon of every kind that you could get. And the spear, you had to go into a cave, fight to the cave, and there's like a 0.012% chance that that chest will be there. Then there's like a point. Then there's like there's like this other percentage that the weapon you want is in that chest, and if it's not, turn the PS2 off, turn it back on, try again from the start of the dungeon, because if you open that chest, that weapon's gone forever. Here's the another annoying part. That chest only shows up, if I'm remembering this correctly, if you did not open 6 specific chests in the intro to the game. So if you randomly went like down below in the low streets and like opened up a random chest, that's never going to show up again. And the only way you would know that is if you had a guide. And I was like, I had a guide, so I didn't do that. But if you were playing this game with no guide and you found out like 60 hours in, you can't get that spear, I would have thrown the PS2 out the window.
oh no, I never knew it had any kind of mechanics like that.
And it wasn't just that one, there's tons of stuff on it. No, I didn't like that part at all because that's kind of annoying. But I got it. I understood it. Final Fantasy 13 blended that together with the battle system and how the battles were actually very, very cool. But everything that happened outside the battles,
Man, again, it's another one I haven't played. Final Fantasy 13 is the coolest looking Final Fantasy.
it is
Like,
the
it
coolest
really,
looking
like I want to play the battle system because I'm like, it just looks cool. Like
it is. Like when I was like, I like the battle.
switching stances all the time.
Switching like all that stuff, the summoning is really cool. Because they're like part of, they're not just like I summoned it from somewhere else. They're like they're actual physical things that like will come into the battle with you and everything. So like that's really cool. 14 is really fun. But not a lot of people like MMOs. But 14, you don't have to play with anybody else. So you can play the whole game single player if you want to. So that's
I
kinda
had
cool.
14 and I loaded up for like 10 minutes and then like stopped and I just never loaded again. Have no opinion on the game despite the fact I've technically played it.
It's the 14th one.
Well, because me and my dad, because my dad was huge into World of Warcraft.
I
So,
remember that.
you don't remember when my
Oh,
dad?
I remember.
Okay. He was serious. He was part of like this guild. Oh my God. But okay. But so we were going to get into that together because like, hey, Mama, I'll play with you. Da, da, da. And then it actually was such a hassle to set up that I finally got mine to work and he didn't. And then that's kind of why we didn't play because he kind of gave up. And then I was like, oh, well, this is supposed to be like a father-son bonding thing.
Did you guys start when it came out or when the
Right
round were
when I want to say Endless Walker or something.
and
came
what?
out.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. I know there were ninjas. I wanted to be a ninja.
Did you find any
And it was
demons?
stolen from me. Yes, like Taki. You
Yeah.
goddamn right. I do that in real life.
That's right. Okay. I don't know if those are demons, like actual demons that don't. Are you just fighting strangers? Like
Then going Postal.
you can't just fight people just because they're demons.
Do you remember the original Postal?
I do.
Oh, yeah, because everyone seems to remember Postal 2. And I'm like, guys, Postal 1 was literally maybe the darkest game of all time. You shot up a school, okay?
That's frowned upon.
Yes.
If anybody's watching this not from America, that's bad, right? So
But
about that.
yeah, like I feel like everyone forgets that the original poster was dark as hell. Literally, like crazy demon controlled madman. Like, but anyway, I don't know. How did we get on that subject? I'm sorry
Because
for
we were
bringing
talking about
that up.
Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, okay.
So 15, right? 15 went full action RPG, I believe. Um, you didn't really have like a menu to pick from. Square was an attack. Square was like your dodge. Remember what was tech? I don't know. I don't remember. It's been a while. But like you had like their face buttons did something. X was jump. There was not really a menu to open. Everything was just there. You had 4 characters. I know in the DLC they fixed it, but originally you only had 1 character, and then you had your supporting characters, but they stayed with you the entire game. So it was kind of nice. They all had their roles to play. But Noctis, the main character, he could equip any weapon. And he had like special weapons that only he can equip. But one of the cool things, this is when I knew I actually enjoyed the game. You have there's these tools you can find. And I didn't realize that that's what they were called. It was a weapon that you needed 2 hands for, right? And I found one, and it was a drill. And I was like,
Oh, Edgar.
oh, okay, drill. And then I found another one, and it was bioblaster. And then I found a chainsaw, and I'm like,
Edgar.
I'm finding Edgar's tools.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, yeah. And then I'm like, this is cool, right? Like
Yeah.
you're getting to use like these old weapons. And I was like, this is really cool. And the whole game is littered with little things like that.
Okay.
But none of it is on the main story path. It's all like extra stuff that, to be honest, nobody really liked because it wasn't the game, right? People wanted to play the game for the story.
It's worth it to get Edgar's own tools.
It was
because
worth
that
it.
was a cool little mechanic that he had.
And I was like, that's pretty cool. I was like, oh, it's really good stuff. And I was like nerding out. And then there's a lot of monsters that you can find on like the job boards to fight. And some of them are just regular monsters. And then as the game goes on, they're just other bosses from other Final Fantasy games in this world. Like there was like a job posting, and they're like, yeah, weird stuff happens at night. One of the paintings comes alive, and I'm like,
Oh, and yeah.
like the painting, and then like it is the painting from Final Fantasy VI, where it looks nice, and then like a demon comes out,
Yeah.
and it's like the same, but it's just like a one-off like fun boss fight, to play. And I was like, put more of that, put more of the fun like into like the main thing. And the summons because Final Fantasy has like a thing with summons. It's always been like that. But in Final Fantasy 15, your summons were like there, like you could see them like if you lived in that world, there's like, oh, that's Titan. He's way over there. He's stuck under a meteor. Like a meteor crashed into the planet a long time ago. And he's like holding it so it didn't crash into the earth. So he's just like there. And you're like, I have to fight that guy.
So you really don't actually summon him. They just already
he exists.
Be like, so bro.
And so when there's certain points in battles that only happen like if you're near him on the world map, you can call him over. And then he's like, and you're like, what is happening? And he just like runs over, and you're just like kick the enemy into space. And then he's like, oh, go back over here. And you're like, that's cool. Like if you're near like the mountains, like instead of Titan, Ramu would show up. If you're near water, the Leviathan would like come in to help you out. And I was like, oh, okay. There's a story reason. Ifrit's a bad guy. good luck ever figuring it out. They don't explain it in the main story really. You have to learn about all this other stuff.
Again, on my YouTube travels, I actually watched a video on that, and they said that, or maybe you were telling me, I can't remember, that was a big problem with it, is that to understand the Final Fantasy 15 story, you actually needed to watch a movie. There's a novella, like
Yeah,
I think it was you that told me. I don't think it was you.
there's extra steps in order to enjoy the game.
Yes, with the
And-
main game, you need to know.
And I don't mind like tie-ins. Like that's really, it's Final Fantasy with a big number title. Cool. Did you know in Kingsglaive, the movie, before Final Fantasy 15 starts, they have these demons that the Empire is like using to fight everybody. And they pull out this giant demon. Like, and it's huge. Do you know who the demon is?
Who?
It's Diamond Weapon from Final Fantasy 7.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
I nearly flipped when I saw it. He's not even mentioned in the game. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's just so weird that to understand the main game, you need to have already seen the side content.
Yeah. And I was just like, he's like, all of the bad guys are pulling him out on chains. And he's just like, it's like Diamond Weapon, like looks exactly the same, just huge. And then like, he attacks like an army, and then they have to like pull him back into the void because it's like you're probably gonna kill everybody. And I'm just like, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. That would have been a really cool thing to happen in the game, I think.
Yeah,
You know?
it sounds
Like not even like what if he was like a boss, and then you're like, oh, from Kingsglaive, like that's the monster from Kingsglaive, but we'll bring him back, and it's like people will be like, oh, in Final Fantasy 7, he's like he's like a boss.
missed opportunity.
And I was
Missed
like,
opportunity.
it's like, come on, guys, like I know you can do it. But I really enjoyed 15 because it was a really good game. However, when it came to it being, is it a good Final Fantasy? You kind of have to then compare it to other Final Fantasies and see how you have to compare it.
And all now, it sounds like it's just not the kind of gameplay that Final Fantasy fans want. Even if it's not necessarily turn based, I think Final Fantasy fans from the 7 remake, Rebirth, 15 and 16, they're kind of rejecting the turn towards action RPG.
I think that's an astute assessment.
Well, thank you.
And I know what those words mean. If anyone, I don't. The idea that people don't want turn-based games was said by Square. They're like, people don't want them. But if you're not hitting them,
But then the Baldur's Gate happened, Clair Obscure. Well, I know that's more recent.
Yeah. So it's not that they don't want them. You're not making them. So of course they're not going to buy the things you don't.
And also one of their biggest successes recently, Octopath Traveler.
Yeah.
And that's turn-based as hell.
That's crazy turn-based. Very good default.
I've got Octopath Traveler. I still haven't done it. After Silk Song, I'm getting back into my RPG.
There's so many. So many good
There's
ones.
so many. Well, there's even ones I haven't heard of. Like there's this game, Trails of Steel or something.
Mhm.
Or I
Yeah.
can't remember the name of it. And I was like, oh, this game looks cool. And so I went to research it. There's like 16 games or something. It's been going on for decades. And I'm like, what?
It's like, do you remember Yeez?
Yeah, yes, I do.
I borrowed one of them from you.
Yes. I think it was like
and
number 3 or something.
The Ark of Nephishtim, I think it was called. And I was like, this game's awesome. And there's like, they keep making them. And I'm like, I'm going to.
Well, not like that. That one wasn't even the first. No, there were ones
Like-
before that. And I'm like, where?
And it's the same character, just all like the same one story through all of his
Game-
adventures.
I can't remember the name. It was it. I think it wasn't like Yeez 3 or something. Like it was a number one almost. But yeah, that game was awesome.
Yeah, that's a good one. There's so many. There's Sea of Stars. I will not stop talking about how great that game is. There's the other one. I want to say Chain of Echoes.
How she starts wish list. I mean, I have so many games.
What did I just say? Echoes of some Chain of Echoes. I had to stop playing that game because I thought the game was not a good game. Turns out my drift thing on my joystick was broken. And so like I couldn't select any of the other battle commands. And I was just like, oh man, this boss fight's really hard. And then like, oh no, my character it's just going up left the whole time. And I was just like trying to figure out how to do stuff. That game's awesome. Turn-based, old school JRPG, right? Uh giant mechs. So what you can't go wrong. You know what I mean? You can't.
Speaking of what, Xenogears Remake, when
Don't get me started.
for a while that was his favorite RPG. Oh man, remember it eventually came out to America, but remember I had imported the one, and we had the chip. I had my PlayStation chip, so you could play foreign games because they used to be region locked, and I never actually really got that far in it. This man went all the way through the Japanese version of Xenogears.
I have no clue.
Was going online trying to find out anything he could about the story, like. I was like, I've never seen someone love a game so much that they can't read a word of. But yeah,
Even the English stuff that popped up, I was like, I don't even know what that means. HP? What? I don't know what HP means. Yeah, that game, I played too much of that game.
yeah.
Way too much. But it's just chef's kiss. Disc 2, not so much. Disc 1, chef's kiss. They kind of ran out of game development time. So disc 2 is them just kind of explaining what's happening.
Just trust us. Like this one's going.
Then I'm like, okay, so then it's like literally like the main characters and a wall of text. They're like, okay, so we went here, we did this, we learned this, we did this, and then like you play like a dungeon, and then just an hour of lore that just gets added at you, just like, ugh. And then there's like a final dungeon, and you're like, what? Like there was like things happening, and then they're just like, yeah. The cool thing is though, they got to sit in a chair while they talked to you, so at least they were confident.
Okay, was a lazy boy.
Gone.
This man is this nice lazy boy. He's living the life of luxury. I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
These old things.
Yeah, yeah, those old,
Yeah.
with cup holders.
Yeah,
Technology.
my old ones had lights in them, so you could see and where you'd be putting the cups.
Oh yeah,
These don't. So F plus. These are garbage.
this man is okay. Continue on the JRPG though.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually my goal right now. I want to start at Final Fantasy 1 and go through all of them. I know this can take a while, but when it comes to JRPG recommendations, I keep seeing Xenoblade Chronicles, and I thought, oh my god, this is going to be Xenogears 2, basically. But then I read that similar teams made them, but they're not actually connected. Is that true?
There was a man and wife.
Yeah.
This is not like a Bible story. There's a man and wife. They created Xenogears. They divorced. She went ahead and did her own thing. That guy ended up leaving Square, and he worked for Bandai back when it was still like now there's Bandai Namco. And I can't remember if it was him or her made Xenosaga, a spiritual sequel to Xenogears.
Oh, okay.
Then they made Xenoblade.
Okay, Xenoblade is definitely one I was looking at.
So are they related? Depends, right?
So
But they are not
directly.
They're not directly. They have kind of the same story, sort of the same type of characters. There's like hints that things are happening, but they are not directly.
Have you played both Xenosaga and
Mhm.
Which one's better?
Ooh, okay. Xenoblade
Yeah.
is good, right?
Okay.
There's a lot to it, and it's very old school JRPG. A lot of grinding, a lot of battling, a lot of stuff, but it's really, really good. Thumbs up, right? Xenosaga, on the other hand, they were like, okay, so Xenogears was episode 5 of the series, which
Oh, they did the Star Wars.
Star Wars bit, right? So Xenosaga, it's called episode 1. So it's Xenosaga episode 1. So people were thinking they're starting they're gonna retell it or like we do whatever, and it's gonna be like a sick something series. They get one. One is very lore heavy, really slow to get into. A lot of Japanese games do that, where they like ease you into the game, you know? And I'm like, my attention span with YouTube and TikTok and everything has ruined that. I need to kill things now. And Xeno Saga takes probably like 6 or 7 hours to get into, and then it gets fantastic, right? And I was like, well, there's these games can be spread out for so long. Like, of course, two comes out, and it's okay. It's not as good as the first one, but it's really short, right? And I was like, well, it's episode 2. Then they're like, we're canceling it. Xenosaga episode 3 is the final one. And they cram too much into that game. You fight a boss every 4 seconds in that game because they're just like, get the story done, right? And so the game is just like, everyone calm down. Like, you've eased us into the story. And then episode 3 is just like sprinting to the finish. And it kind of, everyone was like, there's a lot to that game. And I'm like, it was supposed to be like, they pretty much, I don't know if it
Three
was
games
6,
in one,
yeah,
right?
3 or 4. I don't know how far they were going with it, but they weren't like, we have to cut it off here and then end it. They're like, no, put every single loose thread we started in here. It's ending in this one. Characters you've never even heard of. We're going to introduce them, kill them immediately. Like, just get him in there so they get the story done. Yes, you were supposed to love that guy throughout the whole game. He's dead now. Get over it. And it's like, it's just getting hit like with a bunch of rocks. Like, it's very fast. Like, you're leveling up like every time you're fighting, and you're just fighting boss after boss after boss. Stories get thrown at you, and you're just like, oh, story. Good series though. But Xenoblade, very I would say anime-ish, like the way, you anime stories are. You're a young kid. Oh, you find a mystery. Like, now you have to save the world, you know? That's that. But then they add in all the cool things that make Xenogears and Xenosaga very heavy, like a lot of religious stuff, a lot of what is and isn't when it comes to like in Xenosaga, they're like your enemies that you fight are not from this dimension. They're from like another dimension. And so then you're fighting these guys and you're like, should we just be killing them every time we see them? Kind of thing. Like, is that what we should be doing? Like, because they're not really trying to kill you. They just, whenever they touch you, you die because they're from a different dimension.
Oh, okay.
So then you're like, should we just be killing an entire universe of enemies kind of thing? So there's like that aspect of it. But when it comes to like the Xenoblade Chronicles, yes. But here's something I would do. They released Final Fantasy a Pixel remaster.
I have like I have 1 through 6.
That's all they made. You
Right.
have almost the best version of all of the Final Fantasy games.
The only thing is, I looked. There was like a Game Boy, maybe a 3DS version or something, and the sprites looked a little bit better. Like this one, the sprites look like
Yeah.
the original one, but those sprites were like redone. But yeah. I have. But that's what I would be doing 1 through 6. when
1 through
you're gonna
6.
start the Pixel remasters.
That's what my plan was because I never played Final Fantasy 2.
I played 2, 3, and I played 5, but I didn't beat it. I got all the way to like the entrance to hell or something. I literally think it was the entrance to hell, and I was just fighting all these worms and everything.
Yeah.
And it was everything else flowed until I got there. I was like, even normal enemies will look at me.
Yeah,
So
they do that. That's just how that game went.
yeah, it was just just one progression, no grinding, entrance to hell, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to grind because like if the enemies are beating me this bad.
The normal enemies they just destroy you. The walls are skulls. That's creepy. Ew. Yeah, and like that game is just awesome. I played through 5. I think more than I did like 4.
Oh yeah, I can't even
Um,
barely remember it except for the main character's name was Butts.
yes,
Oh no, I got my child.
but yeah, the story was actually pretty good. It was just, I think for a lot of people after 4, like the bar was here, and like 5 was like story's like here, but the gameplay was like up here because they brought back the job system from
Yeah.
3. And so like that was so much fun, just like playing around with jobs because you could have your job and then like a sub job and just like mix them. I was like, yeah, this is cool. And then like, 4, then like 5, and then like 6 up here. But you have the best versions pretty much
Yeah.
of all of them. There's some stuff that was on the Game Boy Advance version of Final Fantasy VI that isn't in the Pixel remaster. Like there was like extra espers that you could find.
Oh no, I never knew that.
And so they took those out, but it's like,
Yeah, I'm good. Like Final Fantasy VI, like I said, is like arguably my favorite game ever. So
you could suplex anything you want.
anything.
As far as I'm aware, anything in that game can be suplex.
I think there's a couple things that can't. I think like an evil wall or something like that. But
suplex a wall.
everyone always talks about suplexing the train. This man suplexed a bronchiosaurus or whatever it's called. Like,
yeah, those things.
because little known fact, I don't know if you still can, but in the Super Nintendo version, you could play Final Fantasy VI 2-player, and you could assign who controlled what character. And he let me control every character except for Saban. And all he would do is the suplex. If there was no anything from Kamehameha, is none of that.
I didn't know you could do any of that.
Everything.
I was like suplex X Y.
So I remember the first time you suplexed the train, we were going crazy. But is there's an enemy in there, a Bronchiosaurus or something, that can cast Ultima, if I remember right.
It was very strong.
Yeah, it was like this dinosaur that had all this crazy magic, and you suplexed it. I do remember that.
It's just how I roll, man. I just suplex things. You want to hear a fun thing I just learned like 2 months ago for
What?
Final Fantasy VI? You don't gain stats from leveling up in that game.
I played the hell out of it. I specifically remember that.
You gain hit points and magic points. All of the other stats are for leveling up only.
Oh, what you have equipped.
Yeah.
So I thought it was both.
It's all gear based. And I was like, how did I not how did I not know that? Like, or just like not notice it? And I was like,
no, I definitely didn't, because like I said, HP goes up and you just got more powerful. And I knew that whatever Esper you had equipped or saying, it had some kind of effect.
yeah,
on
like,
it,
hey, when you level up, your strength went up by 1. And I was like, I don't care about my strength going up by 1. I'm level 50. And then I was reading, like, there was a chart that someone had put in, like, an optimal way to play to, like, level up, like, your perfect character. And I was like, you don't get stats from leveling up. So you have to use the espers to level up your stats to, like, create, like, a good character. And I was like, I think that game came out in, like, 97?
something like that. I think is I never knew that either, and I'm over here talking about how it's my favorite game. No, I knew that Espers had an effect on it, but I just assumed it was like bonus. I never realized that only hit
That's
points.
what I get
went
for
up.
never actually owning that game. So I never, maybe it's in the mail.
Man, maybe, but
Because Mog's on it.
people read those.
They do. I do.
Man, I remember how our mind was blown when we found out that Final Fantasy 3 was actually Final Fantasy 6. Like, I was like, and that's another thing. Gamers are spoiled these days because the release dates are like either on the same day internationally or very close.
Mm-hmm.
Before, you did not, you would be praying, like, please say that this one eventually makes it to America. And if it did, it would be like a couple years at least away.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing that I have to say that I'm so glad changed, is the international release dates are near each other. Because again, now it's been released a million times, but back in the day, we would literally pray for 2, 3, and 5 to be released in America when we're these huge Final Fantasy fans. And it eventually happened, but not in any kind of quick amount of time.
No, but I like so I have like my iPad, and it's the Pixel remasters are on the iPad. I was like, all right.
Yeah,
Let me
that's
start playing
crazy.
Final Fantasy 1. And I was like, let's go.
I'm gonna do it right after this book. So I'm starting Final Fantasy 1, going on to 2, 3. Maybe not a sequential order. I'll switch some games up in there, but I really want to go through Final Fantasies
I think it'd be
because
more fun to go in Square.
I skipped 8 and then I haven't played it. So when I think about it, I was like, I pretend I'm this big Final Fantasy fan. I've really only beaten 1, 4, 6, 7, and 9. And
Mhm.
I'm like, that's not even like a third of the total amount of Final Fantasies.
Mm-mm.
So I
You know,
want to go
I've
through it.
I've never beaten Final Fantasy 9.
No? Oh,
No,
it's one of my favorites.
I
I
know.
love it.
Because I let you borrow it, and I never got it back. And then you told me all about it. You're like, I just fought the Silver Dragons. I'm like, I know, okay, I can't play because you have it. And then I
He's
bought
did I never give it back? Dang
never.
it.
No. So
I
and
did the
then
same thing with Eddie's Fallout 2. He was so mad.
it's that you learn to not do that. So then I bought a new copy, right? And I let Jeff borrow it. Never saw it again.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say that one's on you though.
so I never. So I
If you
had.
give Jeff a copy of something, you're giving it to him.
I-
Borrowing doesn't
I should have known that.
Yeah.
But then I got Final Fantasy 9 on PC. And you want to talk about mods? There is a mod for Final Fantasy 9 that makes the game look almost brand new.
Yeah?
They what they did was, remember the 3D rendered backgrounds? So what they did was they made a remaster of like Final Fantasy 8 and Final Fantasy 9, right? And by remaster, they just updated the polygons because that's really all you could touch, right? So what he did was he found a way to use AI to basically make all of the 2D backgrounds that were like really gross looking these days. You can't blow it up on like an HD screen and it looks the same. It just looks weird, right? And he found a way to make it look way better. So it actually looks just as good as the 3D models now. And they added some like other things like they changed you can use trance like a limit break in Final Fantasy 7, so you can choose when to use it, not just randomly. That was something that annoyed a lot of people. Um, they kind of just like quality of life improvements, and then there's some cheats. Like remember the jump rope kid,
Yeah.
and you had to do like 1,000.
Yeah.
They were like,
you didn't have to do it.
you didn't have to,
Yeah.
but if you wanted to, you know.
And he's the type of person that definitely would have. If there's anyone that's been able to grind out repetitive, like I don't know how he could do it. He was the man with that
I
stuff.
don't want to, but you offered something for doing it, and then I'm like, well, now I have to do it, you know. So he made it so you just have to do one jump and it gets it to you, you know, kind of thing, just to make the game like easier for you and everything. So that's really cool with that one. They kind of did the same thing with 8. It just nobody seems to, I don't want to say care about.
I have to give 8 another chance because if you remember right, I played it for like 3 hours and then just decided that I absolutely loathed everything about it.
Yeah.
And when I go back and think about it, I'm like, I don't know what I actually hated, except for I didn't like the new art style. Like, I was very, and I still kind of am. I like that kind of like chibi anime art style they had in 7. I'm like, but I know I'm too over it. So I remember that. But when I go back, I'm like, I don't actually remember what I hated about 8 so bad that
Here's what everyone hated about 8. Okay, it isn't Final Fantasy 7, and what I mean by that is Cloud was cool. Okay, there was a guy on Reddit, and he said that his friend only bought the game because he saw the commercial on TV and Cloud was riding a motorcycle. And he was like, that looks cool. And I'm like, if that's what it takes, right? There was nothing about being a teenager in high school that appealed to a lot of people besides like a very small anime kind of focused thing, right?
Well, the weird thing is, Squall doesn't look like a teenager at all. Like he looks like he's about to hit 30 or something.
Yeah.
Like,
And so like they're like, oh, you're in a high school and you guys fight each other. And it's like, I don't want to be in high school. Like Cloud was fighting like a meteor thing, like a monster from outer space.
And like he's this soldier turned mercenary. He's like working for like an anti-corporate militia or something. Like,
And then like, oh, what about Squall? He's just like really moody and like he's like everyone likes him because he's cute, but he's just like, I don't care. And everyone's like, yeah, you do. And he's like, yeah, I do. Like, you broke through my walls. Oh my gosh. And I don't think that resonated with a lot of people that was the follow-up to 7. You know, they're like, look at all this cool stuff. And they're like, okay, slow down. Now you have to take a test. And because that's one of the first things you do in the game, you have to pass an exam.
oh, no,
And
I don't even remember
I was
that.
like, wait, what? You're like, yeah, you get called into a room.
You're not a hot teacher though.
Okay, but you did, and
What Quistis? What was her name?
I think so. But that was even weirder if you think about it, right?
Because Squall looked older than this teacher.
Squall looked older, right? But then, like, let's just switch that around real quick.
Yeah.
Let's say you're Quistis and he's the teacher. Now it's weird, right?
Yeah,
Now it's kind of a weird scenario.
Okay, stop. You just read
So,
that little polygonal
it's-
fantasy.
Yeah, and then some people were like, that's kind of creepy. And they're like, she's going to join your party and like hang out with you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to quit being teaching me for on. Like, okay, that's calm down. That's why I don't think people gave 8 a chance. I played it. As soon as I figured out the junctioning and like all the draw mechanics and all that stuff, I was like, oh, okay. Like that's how they want the game to be played. Let's figure it out that way. Because I didn't want to do that. But I did. And the other kind of cool thing was like the leveling. You didn't really have to grind in the game at all to like level up. So that was kind of nice. So because the game wasn't built around like, well, I can't beat this dungeon because I have to be level 20. Like you just go in there, all the enemies scale with you. So just keep attacking them and just put ultimate to your strength and just keep hitting them for like 8,000 in the first dungeon. Not the first dungeon. So pretty like you can get it pretty early. And so that part was kind of cool, like using the magic that you're drawing, like either from enemies or like around in the world maps to like augment your skills. That was pretty cool. And then the rest of it's just like a fun story, but you got to get there. And if people don't make it past like halfway through the game, on I think it was 4 discs on the game, then yeah. But I get why people didn't.
4 discs?
It's either because I know Final Fantasy VII was 3.
Yeah.
It may have been 4. It's probably not though. I'm just trying to remember the case that I had for it. So Greg let me borrow it. I actually gave it back to Greg. I usually don't do that. I borrowed Tales of Destiny from him.
Yeah.
I gave him the game, and then I was looking through my stuff, and I have the case. And it was just like, I have the case, the manual, the book, and I'm like, I just need to put this back. Like, all right. Like, I guess I was kind of a jerk when I was younger. I'm saying I'm keeping this. You get your own stuff back this much. I'm keeping the rest of it. But yeah, hi kitten. We all see your butthole. Could you not? Your food is on the other table. Your food's on the table.